grandpas or whomever have some of them came through slavery. So therefore, with the things that has taken place with them, it caused them a lot of mental health issues. You know, because children was taken away from them, children was sold in front of them, children were killed in front of them, or whatever. You know, so that's traumatic. Those traumatic experiences are one of the signs of an onset of mental illness. So, for instance, like Terry has mentioned, a lot of times with children, even adults, with the adult segment, you know, if adults are going through divorce, that's traumatic. That's not only traumatic to the person that's being left, but it's also somewhat traumatic to the person that's leaving, because they're in between, I guess, thinking about what's going on, you know, whatever. And when you walk away, you got to understand you're not only affecting the both of you, but you're affecting your children as well. When you're affecting your children, you're causing your children to get to a point where they're saying, maybe it was because of me that they're broken up. Right. Maybe it was because of me that they're not together, or whatever. What can I do to get them back together? So the children start playing, I guess, mix and match, trying to figure out how to get my mom and dad back together. Either they're going to act out in the wrong way to try to get both of their attentions, or they're going to act out in a way where they're going to try to make up things, whereas you'll come together, back together, and become a family again. So you have to look at that. Don't put your children in that kind of predicament where they feel like they got to be the matchmaker for you. You know, so you need to sit down and talk to your children about these different issues, because what it does, it puts them into a depressive mode, a depressive mindset, because they're trying to figure out what part did they play in your decision of leaving one another. So you never want to put your children in that situation. Now, another thing is stressful life situations. We already know financial problems, the death of a loved one. Of course, I just mentioned divorce. All of these things play factors inside of mental illness. As we know, let's look at COVID, because I've been reading about a lot of people during this COVID situation. There has been more suicides that's been taking place. Why? Because they have fell into depression, because their job has fired them, they lost their jobs, they no longer can provide for their family. So now that puts them in the category of mental illness. Not only they're suffering from depression, they're suffering from anxiety, they're suffering from stress, they're suffering from what society trying to, you know, label them as, because they can't find a job or provide for their family. Right. You know, so they're feeling prideful, like, I can't go to my family and ask for money. I can't go take out money from the bank or anything because I don't have a job, and they're saying I can't pay it back. So they're in a dilemma, which has caused them to go into a black hole. Once that happens, that begin to set on them. Now let me tell you something. Men are totally different from women. Men decipher through depression more so than women. They can kind of maneuver through depression more so than women. But oftentimes, like when I was looking at statistics, you know, a lot of our other counterparts, different races, sometimes cannot take depression as good as some of the other guys. So they'll clock out in a minute. So you have to look at the red flags when that happens, because you want to keep lookout at that person, especially if they've always been the breadwinner of the family. They've always been the one that made sure their family was good and made sure everything was great within the home. Once they lose that, you need to check them out. You need to always keep watch on them, because a lot of times they will commit suicide. And we've been reading about that a lot during this COVID pandemic, that a lot of the people that has lost their jobs have taken not only themselves out, but they take their whole family out. How selfish is that? But they take their whole family out. So you have to realize that financial problems, the death of loved ones, and also divorce can cause mental stress and mental illness. Now, another ongoing thing now is ongoing medical conditions. When you have medical conditions like diabetes, traumatic experiences, military combat or assaults, the use of alcoholism or recreational drugs, of course we said childhood history of abuse and neglect. A lot of these things, even having few friends or a few healthy relationships, you know, can cause mental breakdown, mental issues. because you need to, be able to deal with these things. But a lot of times we don't know how to deal with these things because we're trying to handle it all on our own.
Right.
You need to talk to somebody. You need to let go, just release it. Like Willie say off of that show, relax, relate, release. That's what you need to do. You need to relax, relate, release. Because if you don't, you're going to explode. You're just a time bomb waiting to explode. So get help. There's nothing wrong with help. Just talk to somebody. Everyone needs somebody to talk to. Everyone needs someone that they can trust, where they can just release what they're feeling or what they're going through. But when you hold this stuff all in, it does not help you. It causes distress. It causes anxiety. It causes depression. And it causes so many other things, especially if you having ailments in your body already, like diabetes. Sometimes all of this stress and stuff can cause cancer and different things. So it triggers this situation. Mental illnesses causes different stresses in your body. Now, what I want you to also understand, mental illness can also be temporary, but it can also be long term. That's if you don't get any help. Right. But it can be temporary if you get help, because there's all types of help out there, and you can look up the different phone numbers where you can call these different places, and they'll be more than happy to help you. Go to the psychiatrist, counselors, your pastor, whomever you can trust to help. But when you need medication, you need to go to your doctor, your healthcare providers, your counselors. They can also get prescriptions for you. Also, your psychiatrist can do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to give you an example. For example, depression, like I told you how some of these things can work together. Depression can cause you to want to indulge in sexual activities or whatever. It can also cause you to want to abuse alcoholism or different, different things. So you have to be very careful with that, because depression will make you go off in a tangent. It'll take you into a place where you don't want to go into. So be careful with mental illnesses. And I put, there's so many ways to prevent mental illnesses. So, however, mental illness is taking steps to control stress, to increase your reliance and to boost your low self-esteem, and may also help your symptoms to be under control. So you got to understand that there's help. You got to take steps to control the stress. You got to take steps to increase your resilience, and also to boost that low self-esteem that you might be experiencing. Because once you go through all of these different things, yes, it takes down your self-esteem. Because why? Like what we just talked about on last Monday about depression. Mm-hmm. When you're going through depression, guess what? You don't do your hair. You don't probably take care of your personal hygienes, or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of things that will cause your self-esteem to be lowered. So you want to work, keep your self-esteem up. Now, the last couple of things I want to just kind of throw at you, and I'm gonna go through them quickly. Pay attention to warning signs. Get routine medical care. Get help when you need it, and take good care of yourself. Those are different things that you need to remember that you need to do.
That's right.
Take good care of yourself. Get help when you need it. Go to get routine medical care, and pay attention to warning signs. So you know what the warning signs are, because you know you. So I want you to remember that. Get help if you need help. There's nothing wrong with help. But we are excited. We're glad that you tuned in with us this evening, talking about mental health, the causes of mental health and the illnesses. So we want you to know that help is there. Help is out there. So all you got to do is just reach out. Don't be prideful. If you need help, get help.
That's right.
And again, we thank you for tuning in tonight with us. And I thank you, Terry, for joining in tonight with us.
Help is on the way.
Help is on the way. All right. So at this time, we want you to go ahead and like and subscribe our podcast as well as our YouTube channel. Also, continue to tune in with us. And not only that, don't forget to leave your comments. Leave your comments. And also leave us your topics, because we want to hear what you have to say, because your opinion does matter. So we'll appreciate everything. And at this time, me and my husband, we're going to take a sip. And hats off to each and every one of you, and good night. And we thank you for tuning in with us here with Sippin with Shakita. Let's talk.
Good night.
Good night.